Last night, the Chicago Bulls fell to the Los Angeles Clippers. And in that game, the Chicago Bulls did not have Coby White on the court. He was out with that hip soreness. And the question for today is, will Coby White's injury be a lingering problem for the remainder of the season? We have a Julian Phillips injury updates, and Charles Barkley said the Chicago Bulls wouldn't even win the NCAA tournament. It's crazy to me. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, but you gotta hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode of Shy Boys Podcast. If you're tuning in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Now, we know the Chicago Bulls took that loss versus the Los Angeles Clippers, 126-111. In a game where you really didn't see anything too crazy from the Chicago Bulls. DeMar DeRozan, he did his typical thing. Nikola Vucevic tried to help, but it just wasn't enough from the Chicago Bulls against a championship contending team like the Los Angeles Clippers. A guy that was missing from that game was Coby White. He was out with that hip injury after Pascal Siakam, Bigfoot ass, fell on Coby White. and my guy, hey, he injured his hip. I'm so happy that it wasn't anything more severe. These guys, there's the belief that Coby White will be able to play in Saturday's game coming up here soon, and we shall see what happens. I think that when you talk about Coby White and that hip injury, I think it's something that you definitely got to play it close to the chest. And I think it's something that you got to look at all options when you going into these games. Everybody know if you play sports in your life, you know that hip injuries are a mother. Blah. We know that it's a mofo. We know that hip injuries are annoying. One day it can feel absolutely great. Then you can roll out of bed. You can reach for something up high, try to pick something up, and then that hip injury hits you with that, it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Especially in contact sports. I know Coby White is not playing football, but you got to expect some type of contact in basketball, regardless if some people feel that it's not as physical as it was in the 90s. So when we talk about Coby White, I think that the Bulls have to play this smartly. I understand that there's going to be a push for that play-in spot, and even to maintain that play-in spot, and even try to make some noise in the playoffs. Is very little, things that the Chicago Bulls could do in that situation. But you still got to think about the future of Coby White. I understand right now, it's just a little bit of a soreness, but you don't want to come out. You don't want to have Coby White come out here and further exacerbate that injury to where it becomes something that's more severe. I remember a few years ago, we had Isaiah Thomas, who was with the Boston Celtics, dealing with a hip injury. I know it started off as something small, and he played through it and played through it and played through it. So I believe he had to have some type of rehabilitation after the season, and it kind of cost him his job in a way. You know what I'm saying? I believe the Boston Celtics traded him away. So y'all fact check me on that. But I believe that's how it all went down with Isaiah Thomas. He was having a spectacular season that season and battling through that injury. Now I'm all good, and I show a lot of love to players that battle through injury. But at some point, depending on the way that the season is going, you might have to take a step back and sit down a little bit. If we're going back to the example with Isaiah Thomas, he was with the Boston Celtics, and they were at the top of the Eastern Conference. If you look at the situation right now, the Chicago Bulls are at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and there's not a lot of things at stake right now for the Chicago Bulls. So I think they have to play this situation smartly. I think they have to do their due diligence to make sure that Coby White is in the best situation right now and for the foreseeable future. You don't want this to start to become a problem. You don't want things to start adding up when it comes to injuries. I understand it's a little bit of a soreness, but we know that sometimes when you plan through soreness, the muscles get fatigued and things like that, and more injuries can come about that. I'm not saying that Coby White will face more injuries. I hope that he does not. I hope he gets back. I hope that he's receiving some really good treatment, and we can go ahead and have him for to close out the season. But that's me. But then on the flip side, I'm looking at Coby White being that guy. Hey, if you had to sit down a couple games, you should be able to sit down a couple games. I know it's going to be hard for a lot of Bulls fans to, fathom that. I know it's going to be hard for the Bulls front office to come to that conclusion and say, hey, we need to sit him down just a couple games. But if Coby White is good to go, that's good enough for me. I'm not going to sit here and complain and tell him he absolutely needs to play or absolutely needs to sit down. That's going to be a decision based on how he feels. I'm not in his body, and I'm you got to let him work through it. If this is something that he can play through, if this is something that's where the soreness, he could just kind of bypass that and let it, flow over and, get better as time goes on. Okay, cool. But I know with hip injuries, those lower extremity injuries, especially those hips, those are not easy injuries to come back from and continue to play through a basketball or a contact sport. So I'm hoping that Coby White is able to come back to this team. But if it's all for the betterment of him and his future, we've seen enough of Coby White and we know what he's very, very capable of. So I'd rather have him healthy, rather have him not have to go under the knife and receive any type of surgery. I'd rather him just be good to go to make sure that we can focus on his offseason to where he can work and continue to progress and better his craft. I'd rather take that route. But again, we have to wait and see what happens. The expectation is for Coby White to play tomorrow. I believe they play the Washington Wizards, and I believe that's another game that you have to win. You got to win these games that you are the superior team in. I know that we can pull off a couple good, impressive wins versus some of the other top teams, but then there's going to be some nights like last night to where Los Angeles Clippers, you just ain't good enough. That's just what it is. And Coby White, maybe he could have pushed, the envelope a little bit further to try to help the Chicago Bulls win. Maybe not, but we'll never know because he wasn't in the game. So we're going to take it for what it is. We're going to continue to push forward and hope that Coby White gets healthy as possible if the Bulls are trying to make some noise moving further and further through this season as it gets closer and closer to being the end of the regular season. So shout out to Coby White. I hope he continues to get healthy. I hope he's feeling all right. I would love to see him play, but I wouldn't be too mad if Coby White sits out a couple games. That's just me. Let me know how you all are feeling about that down below and leave your thoughts on that one. Now, a quick injury update is that Julian Phillips is in a walking boot. With all things considered, with all the guys that have went out with injuries, I know it's some right foot soreness. So they put him in a walking boot, hopefully just to alleviate some of that soreness or help with that right foot sprain. You hope that the training staff is doing their due diligence and doing their job correctly. But can we keep it a buck, ladies and gentlemen? We ain't got much faith in this Bulls training staff. They've been feeding us BS all season long when it comes down to these injuries. You know what I'm saying? With the Torrey Craig injury, we thought he was coming back. No, he's extended. He's going to be out a little bit longer. We thought Patrick Williams was going to get better. No, he's extended. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. We thought Zach LaVine was going to be all right. No, he went back down. He thought he was going to come back. He's done for the remainder of the season. And all these guys are dealing with the lower extremities, the injuries in their lower extremities. We got to be better, and we got to see what the hell is going on with this training staff because absolutely, if I'm going off the evidence, they suck. That's just how I'm looking at it. They suck. But we hoping that I believe Julian Phillips right now is listed as day-to-day. So we're going to take it for what it is. Day-to-day. Me personally, this is another player that I would love to see on the court. But if it's for the betterment of his health, I'm okay with sitting him down. That's just how I'm looking at it. The season ain't going too far. Even if we do make the playoffs, I say a win or two in that first round, especially against the Boston Celtics, the team that's at the top of the Eastern Conference. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Chicago Bulls. But we'll see what the dominoes fall. We'll see how everything plays out. And we just going to continue to, we just going to continue to rock with the team. So that's pretty much it. Now, the last topic of the day is that Charles Barkley said that the Chicago Bulls couldn't even win the NCAA March Madness tournament. That's crazy to me. Look, I understand the Chicago Bulls are not the best team in the NBA. I understand that. And I'm no fool to even put the Bulls and say that they're the best team in the NBA. No, I'm not a fool. We're going to keep it a grand. When Charles Barkley said that they can't win a tournament, what team going to beat them? Kenny the Jet Smith came out and asked Charles Barkley, like, who's stopping DeMar? And that's my question. Who's stopping DeMar? I feel like that's a legit question. What guy in the NCAA is going to slow down DeMar DeRozan? You thought that C-Dub was calling another goofy to NBA players? Watch how many goofies be on a college floor. Let's keep it a grand. He going to be getting so many fouls. He probably had 30 points at the free throw line. Ridiculous amount of fouls that he's going to draw on these young bucks that don't even know what the hell's going on with most of these guys in the NBA. I think that could be some competitiveness, but I think the Bulls absolutely smoke any team that's right there. That's just me. Look, I understand it's going to be some young athletic bigs that's up in college, but I still think I'm not a big fan of Nikola Vucevic this season, but I still think Nikola Vucevic will cook somebody. He going to get worked on the defensive end, but he's going to be cooking offensively. And can I talk about Coby White? If we get a healthy Coby White, there is not a player in the NCAA tournament that I think can be more dynamic and more of a threat than Coby White. That's just my personal opinion. And then are we talking about do you want? Hold on. I don't even know why I didn't start with this. Do you want one of these college kids to be guarded by Alex Caruso? Do you? Do you? Alex Caruso will end up in prison at the end of the tournament, probably after game one. He is going to heckle the hell out of one of these young players. Let's keep it a grand, bro. Can we keep it a grand? There is nothing one of these young bucks can do with Alex Caruso. Literally. Would a guy get a point up here and there? Maybe. We shall see. I wouldn't bank on it. It's going to be a defensive masterclass with Alex Caruso. And y'all gonna get cooked. Do we got to talk about the length and the defensive ability of Ayo Dosunmu? Stop it. Stop it. Charles Barkley, I respect it. This why these young bucks out here talking about they done with the 90s, because some of y'all say some crazy stuff. Some of y'all say some crazy stuff. And that is absolutely crazy to say that the Bulls couldn't win the NCAA tournament. Look, don't get me wrong. That can always be an upset. But I see no chance in hell there being an upset. That's just me. That's just me. No answer for Alex Caruso defensively. You ain't doing jack with him. Your best player, he's shutting down. You might as well clock out and go home. Take your NIL money and go to the crib. See you next year. No guy is going to be able to do anything to slow down DeMar DeRozan. It's going to be another goofy. And if you don't know what another goofy is, that means you ain't watching the live calls, to where every time somebody fouls DeMar DeRozan because he hit him with the pump fake or hit the tough jumper, see Dale Yubbs, another goofy. And most of these guys going to be on the court, and it's going to be all night long. You ain't going to be able to do nothing with these Chicago Bulls. Now, that was just a little fun topic, because I know it's just hyperbole and it's never going to happen to where you see an NBA team go and play in the NCAA tournament. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Charles Barkley said that. But hey, that's it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. If you want to call in, leave your take and leave your thoughts and be a part of one of our episodes, call in and leave a voicemail. Number is 773-242-9219. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.